و غرامت آسیب‌های وارده را.
O evil American and Zionist commanders, look carefully. The heavens and the earth no longer offer you refuge, and the gates of hell will remain open until the last child-killing criminal is destroyed. Iran is dramatically upping the ante against Israel, unleashing missiles fitted with deadly 2,000 kilograms warheads. In the space of just 24 hours, Iran has launched 7 separate ballistic missile attacks, turning swathes of Israel into fire and rubble. Is Iran now fulfilling its promise of Dimona revenge, as Israel's Negev desert came under a relentless barrage of long-range missiles? Trump's Arab partners are not being spared either, with Iran striking U.S. bases at Al-Dhafra in the UAE and Al-Udeid in Qatar. Were the new waves Tehran's forceful retaliation for American-Israeli airstrikes on Al-Quds Day? On March 13th, Iran staged a rapid series of attacks on both Israel and U.S. interests across the Middle East, hitting multiple fronts almost back-to-back. The IRGC says these were the 45th, 46th and 47th waves of Operation True Promise 4, carefully aimed at Israeli cities and American military bases. During the 45th wave, at least 3 sites in central Israel were damaged in a cluster munition strike that scattered bomblets over a wide area. One of those impacts set a rooftop ablaze, apparently after a submunition or fragment ignited material on the building. Another cluster bomblet reportedly punched a crater into a nearby highway, briefly disrupting traffic and underlining the randomness of the shrapnel spread. Israeli media said there were no immediate reports of injuries from this particular strike, despite the obvious property damage. The IRGC says it used solid-fuel Kheibar Shekan missiles to deliver those cluster warheads in the 45th wave of the campaign. Press TV claimed that facilities in Haifa, Caesarea, Zeret, Shlomi and the Holon military-industrial complex were also hit as part of the broader salvo. The IRGC adds that Al-Dhafra Air Base in the UAE and the U.S. base in Erbil, Iraq, came under simultaneous missile and drone fire. Iran's regular army is also said to have launched a drone strike on what it described as an Israeli army headquarters in Beersheba. In the following 46th wave, missiles and drones were directed at Tel Aviv, Rishon Lezion and Shoham, according to IRGC statements. Tehran claimed 7 sites in Tel Aviv, 2 in Rishon Lezion, 1 in Shoham and 3 separate U.S. bases were hit in that phase alone. The 47th wave reportedly targeted locations in the Negev desert, Bir al-Sab, Nevatim and Lod, pushing the fight deeper into Israel's south and center. IRGC sources say Al-Udeid Air Base in Qatar was also fired on, forcing evacuations and emergency measures in nearby areas. Officials in Tehran say a mix of solid-fuel Kheibar Shekan and liquid-fuel Qadr missiles were used in this latest round of strikes.
Bismillahir-Rahmanir-Rahim.
In continuation of the operations by the defenders of our nation's skies, 2 American drones were intercepted and destroyed over Firuzabad and Bandar Abbas, and another aircraft was downed over the skies of Tabriz by the IRGC air defense systems under the control of the country's integrated air defense network. The total number of destroyed drones so far has reached 112 of various types: combat, surveillance, and suicide drones. Backed by the sincere support of the Iranian people, in response to the Supreme Leader's first call and the astonishing turnout in the Quds Day rallies, as well as the bravery of the soldiers of the Islamic Republic of Iran's army, the aerospace and naval forces of the IRGC, together with Hezbollah, successfully launched the 45th wave of Operation True Promise 4 on Friday night with the blessed code, O Lord of the Age, against American Zionist enemy targets. In this operation, solid-fuel Kheibar Shekan precision-guided missiles and swarm formations of combat drones were launched toward enemy objectives. The destruction of Zionist Northern Command infrastructure and the gathering sites of American forces, after prior warnings to withdraw from the region, were among the most critical strategic goals designed for this operation. To achieve these objectives, centers in Haifa, Caesarea, the Zarif and Shlomi settlements, as well as the Holon military-industrial complex, were targeted by IRGC Aerospace Forces drones and missiles. Gathering sites of American occupying forces, following warnings to leave the area, including bases in Al-Dhufra and Erbil, were identified and subjected to heavy missile and drone strikes by the IRGC Navy and the Army of the Islamic Republic of Iran. The 46th wave of Operation True Promise 4 was likewise carried out a short time later, targeting additional American and Zionist hostile centers and forces. As part of the mission to hunt down criminal Zionist and American commanders, 10 hideouts and accommodations within the occupied territories, and 3 gathering and concealment sites of American personnel in the region, were precisely identified and struck. In this operation, 7 sites in Tel Aviv, 2 in Rishon Lezion, and one in Jerusalem within the occupied territories, as well as 3 American command posts in King Sultan, Victoria, and Erbil bases, were hit by missile and drone attacks. The day is not far when the Quds Day rallies will turn into a march toward Al-Quds itself. By God Almighty's will, Muslims worldwide will soon pray in Masjid al-Aqsa. In an earlier strike, Iran is reported to have used Khorramshahr missiles carrying 2-ton warheads, some of the heaviest in its arsenal. The Times of Israel counted a total of 7 ballistic missile attacks launched at Israel within a single 24-hour window. Israeli sources insisted most of the incoming missiles were intercepted or fell in open areas, limiting casualties so far. Even so, warning sirens reportedly rang out across southern Israel, Jerusalem, and much of the central region, sending people racing for shelters. As Iranians poured into the streets for massive Al-Quds Day marches, US and Israeli forces launched their own strikes on Iranian territory. Witnesses in Tehran reported plumes of smoke and loud explosions, with at least 1 woman killed in the capital. The woman died after being hit by shrapnel from a joint American-Israeli airstrike, according to Press TV. Residents in Barrage, west of Tehran, also heard multiple blasts and the roar of fighter jets overhead. Despite the danger, thousands of Iranians filled Tehran streets on March 13th to mark Al-Quds Day. Several key political figures made their first public appearances since the war began, using the march as a show of defiance. Among those present were President Masoud Pezeshkian and Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi, standing alongside ordinary citizens. Iran's Supreme National Security Council Secretary, Ali Larijani, also joined the crowds, signaling the leadership's resolve to keep resisting Israel and the US. Trump's problem is that he lacks the intellect. The Iranian people are a valiant, strong, and determined nation. Whatever pressure he applies, the will of the Iranian people becomes stronger. The Zionist regime has attacked again on the path. Is it scared? These attacks are out of fear and desperation. Whoever is strong doesn't bomb a rally. It's obvious they are running out of options. What is the message of the attendees? People's message is that we have stood firm against the enemies.